Hello and welcome to Real Metal, our Christmas special. I am your host, Mark. I'd like to introduce my panel this time around. We have JP. Why did I stop?
He's Ben.
He's Ben. We have Ben and James joining us for our Christmas special. This time around, we're talking about the Nightwish film, Imaginaerum. Now, JP, have you seen this film before?
I had, yes. Yeah, I only once though.
Yeah.
I'm a big Nightwish fan, and when I heard that it was in production, it came out in DVD, Blu-ray finally in North America, so I grabbed it.
Ben?
No. Don't really even know Nightwish, and totally didn't know what to expect, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie. Listened to bits of Nightwish, not a whole lot, but they're a good band for a reason. Yeah. They are a good fucking band.
This is the first time we've done a movie that I haven't seen before, so this was my first time watching it as well. So let's take a look at the trailer.
Hello?
Miss Whitman, I have some bad news.
Mr. Whitman.
We had to bring your father in again. He's been living in a fantasy world for the last couple of years. He's regressed to childhood.
He's in a dark place right now.
This one looks quite serious. Well. It's good to see an old friend.
I'm dreaming. That's why everything's so weird.
You had a song for every little thing in your life. It's a shame it had to end.
We need to turn back!
It's too late! I can't! I'd hope to hear the chords played again one day. Without them, I'm lost in this nothingness. Terrified of the silence that may come.
Mr. Thomas Whitman, a composer and a poet.
It's your world, your rules. Light brings darkness. What sweet irony.
Just stop!
Hey, JP, why don't you synopsize this movie for us?
Oh, that's a horse pill. Well, basically it's a story about a elderly musician who has had a stroke and he's slipped into a coma, a number of strokes, and he's regressed into his past life, and the movie takes us on a journey through his memories and past life while he is on perhaps his deathbed, and it follows a number of characters from his past and his dreams and fantasies as he tries to navigate his way back from fantasy or to reality. How's that for a synopsis?
JP should synopsize all of the movies.
Well, to be honest, this is the most serious and
Depressing movie we've ever
emotionally
done.
intense movie we've ever done on the show. Usually what we end up with something that's pretty friggin' goofy.
We all had a good cry.
Yeah, it's not so much. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful. It was way better than I was expecting from a movie that came from a band. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't expect it to have that, I guess, emotional weight that this thing did.
Well, we watch
Agreed.
a lot of movies that do feature bands and whatnot, and it's very cheap productions. They generally do bits in horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something that a band does where they create a movie based around an album. The production value was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what how much this cost, but it definitely wasn't cheap.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's heavy CGI in this too, and good looking CGI for the
Not
most
shit.
part. Yeah.
No.
For the most part, it looks really good. Like that snowman.
Yeah.
Michael Bay should be ashamed.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of something sort of a combination of Polar Express and Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas and Pan's Labyrinth, and just freaky characters and bizarre shape-shifting dimensions. And
Well, the film's, as people watching it don't know anything about it, and I myself have never heard the album it's based off of or anything like that. It's a mouthful. Like, it really is, to kind of figure out what's going on, and it's almost instantly dreamlike.
Yeah, no, it's very dreamlike, and it's certainly an art piece as well too. Like the movie, it's an artsy movie, but you can follow the story. It's not so artsy that you're.
No, it's competent.
Yeah, you're questioning everything. Like, you still have to think about it a bit. Like, it's not a simple movie that just it doesn't lay everything straight out in front of you. You have to kind of, especially in the beginning, I think you have to kind of put the parts together a little bit.
But isn't this part, if they've done this the way I think they have, it's excellent, because you're picking up the story the way he is.
Yeah.
Because he's got dementia.
Yeah.
And he's having to rediscover these lost memories and how they all link up to what's happened to him and his family.
Yeah.
If that's what they've aimed for, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's so well done. The one thing that really stood out to me in this is that this is what Sucker Punch would have been if it had been competent. If they'd actually had a good director, that's no, seriously.
He's done some good work.
Really? Who is it again?
It's fucking oh shit, I can't remember his name now.
And I gotta say, it's better than anything Tim Burton's put out in a long time.
the director of this movie was the guy who's directed a bunch of Nightwish videos.
Yeah.
And I was worried that it would become a big commercial for Nightwish, an extended rock video. But it wasn't. The band had very minimal. There was a couple of cameos with band members, and it was loosely based around some stories behind the main songwriter of Nightwish. But yeah, it avoided that whole, this is a commercial, like, Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. It was the Nightwish part. You don't have to be a fan, I think, to appreciate
Not at
this
all.
movie.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't really have to know them at all.
Yeah.
It's well, they're in it twice. I'm just like, I can recommend this to people who don't listen to Nightwish. Easy.
Oh yeah,
No problem. I was really worried coming into this that this was going to be 5 or 6 music videos strung in with weak story, linking them in. That's honestly what I thought we were going to watch.
And there's enough of those out there. I'm sure we've seen a lot of those kind of rock movies where they just jump from clip to clip to clip.
And what were you saying? You were thinking that it was going to be a Cradle of Fear on Christmas.
Well, Cradle of Fear is probably my only example I have that I've watched.
Keeps on happening.
See, I love the fact that the tag is still hanging off.
The tag is weighing it down.
This is the most serious movie we've ever done. We all have stupid hats on.
Because none of us were expecting it.
Yeah.
None of us were expecting it to be so serious.
And this keeps jingling. I don't know if the microphone has picked it up. Yeah, and the musical bits I really enjoyed. I'm a big Nightwish fan. This is actually one of my favorite Nightwish albums is Imaginaerum, which is weird because I've been listening to Nightwish for a long time and I like a lot of the earlier stuff, but I keep going back to that record all the time.
How recent is it?
It's
2011.
Yeah.
Pretty recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a newer one. And,
And they redid the orchestral, they remade the album for the score for this. So there was little hints of Nightwish in there as well, the music in the background.
Right, and because when you first see them, it's inside that club.
Mm-hmm.
And it's them obviously doing a rendition of their song in a very different style.
Yeah,
And
very
it
much
comes
so.
off excellent.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah, it's like the musical pieces I thought fit really nice in this. When, like you said, we are worried that it was just going to be like a big long music video. Those pieces fit really nice together when the band did show up in that kind of lounge scene, and then again in
The circus.
Circusy.
Very fitting for Prague, right?
Yeah.
That circus scene was something else. Some of those clowns. Ooh,
Scary clowns.
The visuals.
Yeah.
I was thinking Terry Gilliam at that point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
There's so many things happen in this, like emotional beats that are hard to watch. And I kind of hit home with a lot of different people, like on different levels.
Well, when it started, when he sets off on his journey with the snowman, I kept thinking, well, this is kind of... You could show this to kids. It's a really good kind of winter Christmas-esque story the kids could get. But that fell apart.
That
fell apart really quickly.
Dark turn, like
Really, and it's not gory or violent or anything like that. It's just a bit too dark for families watching or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the intended audience.
No.
Clearly not.
I don't know who the intended audience was, though.
Nightwish fans?
I guess so, but to put that much money into something, I think you'd want to appeal to a bigger crowd. Like you talked about the director, he directed some Nightwish videos, and he also did a series of shorts as well. And so this was his first feature length, and well, he did a hell of a job.
just fans of dark fantasy,
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
light horror, if you could call it that.
Did it even get a small theatrical run in North America? Does anyone know?
I don't think so. I think
It really should have.
Yeah, I would love to see that on a big screen.
Visuals and
Yeah.
the sound.
Yeah.
The sound was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, the sound is really good. Like, we were watching with your home cinema setup, and there was one point where it really boomed at us.
Yeah.
When the IV was dripping, boom.
Yeah.
We all kind of
So
like,
first, like, whoa. Yeah, that was excellent.
I think my favorite scene was when they sawed off the top of the old man's head, and they were pulling his memories out with as pieces of paper.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And it's like a crumpled through on the floor.
That was all that circus scene. Huh?
Yeah, that was one of my favorites as well too. I don't know, like the whole dementia thing really hit me pretty hard because I say a lot of people have run into that in their life, and I did my grandmother and stuff like that, and so that part really hit me pretty hard when I was kind of thinking about it, because that's something that really scares the shit out of me. Because watch someone go through it is scary enough. Think about that someone that you love, like a parent or something like that, will probably go through it, and then think about it yourself. Think about losing your memories and losing who you are. That terrifies the shit out of me.
That's the age-old question. Would you rather sort of have an active mind and have your body
Yeah.
be crippled, for lack of a better term, politically correct term perhaps, or would you rather have your mind go and be physically healthy? How do you want to end it? I mean, there's no
Well, I think
good way.
everyone wants to go out on their own terms, which unfortunately doesn't happen. Dementia and Alzheimer's is a fate worse than death. Absolutely is. I
it's
think we all
terrible.
think about it.
Yeah.
It is that fate worse than death.
Yeah, like whenever you have that moment when you kind of forget something, you're like, oh shit.
And they nailed it with having the story revolve around that.
Yeah, it was really off-putting, but I don't know, just the whole thinking about that terrifies the shit out of me.
It's a really good way to write a movie.
Yeah.
There were things about this that reminded me of Charlie Kaufman's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where they have the company that removes your memories for you.
Yeah.
And when he realizes he doesn't want that, he's trying to chase his memories to stop it happening. So it had that kind of feeling to it. But in no way did they take one from the other. It was just another very good idea based around how memories formed and everything.
Yeah, it was such a well done movie. I can't get over how good it was. I've been wanting to see this for a long time. We've been talking about it for a long time since we started this show a year ago. Finally sat down to watch it, and I was kind of blown away at how good it was.
Production value,
Yeah.
writing, cinematography.
Definitely not what I expected in many different ways.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the band were going to be actors in it, which scared me.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah,
oh no.
yeah, another rock band that thinks they can act. Here we go. Yeah.
Right? And there were moments at the beginning, because I don't know the band, that I was going to turn and go, is that a member of the band? But it became clear almost instantly that they weren't, because every actor in it was a really good actor.
Yeah.
Even the children.
Yeah.
They carried their lines great. Like, there was no hamminess to it. There was a few conversation pieces between the daughter and the aunt, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Like the father's sister. That because you don't know really what's going on, it kind of felt like when you're flicking through the TV and you come across daytime television like Passions, and it's them having an emotional conversation, and you're going,
And you're thrust right into the middle of it. And you're like,
yeah, and
what's
they're
the
being so
context?
vague.
Yeah.
I really like the character, the daughter. The character of the daughter.
She's a cold fish.
Quite a range throughout the movie, though.
Yeah, she started very cold, calculating, and like, oh, what a bitch, right? And then you grew to see why she had that cold shell around her.
Yeah, and then you also understood the father and why he reacted that way too, and the tragedy that was in his life, and
that he never let the daughter know about.
Yeah,
No, which all too often happens.
yeah,
You have that where someone passes on. For example, my grandfather, last year, you realise that without speaking to them, that there's a lot you don't know about them. And there's that thing that she says in the movie, I don't know if you knew your father at all.
yeah.
Because there's a lot that gets locked away.
Yeah, well, it's the whole thing. It was like, do I mention this, like, tragic part to another person, or do I hold it back to save them from that? And then by saving them from that, am I damaging them? This was a very complex emotional movie.
Yeah, keep them safe by pushing them away.
Yeah.
Like it's for sure.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Very different.
One thing that's really rung out for me with this movie as a whole, besides all that emotional element, Nightwish are a prog metal band. Prog metal bands generally do what the album's called? Concept albums.
Yeah.
Where it's a story involved. And if you really dig into it with those kinds of bands, there is inside the album covers generally a storyline.
Yeah.
Dream Theater, for example. That really came to mind when we were watching this. This is what Dream Theater should have done with Scenes from a Memory. Because if you watch the live DVD of it, they have him on the bed or the couch thing, and he's talking to the psychiatrist, and it has the clock and everything. And that whole album has those themes. I'm only mentioning
Could
album
have turned it into a great movie.
Exactly, right? And I'm only mentioning that because I know that album, whereas I don't know the Nightwish album.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that a prog band has taken that step to actually put a movie to what the story they're telling.
Yeah.
And it really shows you how big the band is, that they can actually finance a movie.
Yeah.
Or raise the money to do this. There's not a lot of bands that have a movie. If you think about it, thousands and thousands of bands out there.
Yeah, I mean, Metallica released one last year, and that was barely a movie.
And it bankrupted them.
Yeah.
Practically.
Yeah. Last 2 years ago, I guess. Yeah, that was... and then, I guess we don't realize in North America how big Nightwish actually is. So we see them here. They play fairly big venues here. Certainly not the biggest
But
in
not
town.
stadiums, but
Yeah.
I mean, so.
No, and for a band like that, well, obviously they do much better in Europe. To be able to finance something like this, and
Well, doesn't this talk to European metal bands being very popular in their home country? Nightwish is probably a really big deal in Finland. If you go to countries like Sweden or Norway, there's certain bands that hold that weight in their own country, to the point where they may not even need the outside success.
Yeah.
They could literally have it in their home country. Places like North America, like the United States, they're just so big.
yeah,
It's hard to conquer that.
There's almost a similar element in the Quebec scene. They have their own star system there. People have incredible careers selling a million records in Quebec, and it's like no one's ever heard of them outside of the borders because it's some handsome young francophone guy
I know.
crooning or
They
whatever.
try to sell them to the rest of Canada, and it never works.
Well, a lot of bands will try and base their success. I know
Worked with Celine Dion. Don't get me wrong.
if you look in the UK, a lot of bands, once they've taken over the UK, the next step is North America.
Yeah.
Look at the Beatles. That was that whole step, was trying to take North America. Whereas what you just mentioned in Montreal, bands in smaller countries in Europe, they don't actually really need to do that.
I think we could talk about this kind of subject for so long because the way that the internet is right now, you're not going to see another Beatles type situation where you invade a country. You never heard this band before and they take the country by storm. I don't think something like that will ever happen anymore. With the internet, it can be instantly out and available to everybody on Earth.
That's right.
Like, that doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
And the Beatles being one of the first bands that had a rock and roll movie
Yeah.
as well, kind of tying it back.
True, yeah, bringing it back to Nightwish. We got off there for a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
That's so good.
Would you recommend this movie, JP?
Oh, most certainly. It's a lot of fun if you're a fan of dark, slight horror fantasy. Like I said, Tim Burton and who were we saying earlier? Benicio del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
Benicio del Toro was in Fear and Loathing. And,
Okay,
and
yeah,
And he might like it
That's my
too. I
movie,
mean,
yeah.
don't count him out. He'd
Dr.
probably dig this
Gonzo.
movie.
I'll refer to my movie expert there.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro did Pan's Labyrinth.
That's what was in my brain.
Guarantee he probably knows this movie.
So Ben, would you recommend it?
This has been 6 months since I can say this. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely recommend this. In fact, while we were watching it, I texted 2 people and recommended it.
Yeah.
2 people straight off the bat. I was like, "You're gonna love this." Yeah, it's excellent. You don't have to be a fan of Nightwish to watch this. It's definitely going to be a permanent fixture on my December watch list.
Yeah, it was a great movie. It's stunning looking. The production value of it is great. The music is great. The story is great. The script is it's a really good movie. I definitely would recommend it.
That's going to do it for another episode of Real Metal. I'd like to thank all you guys for listening, watching and listening, both at the same time.
Tune in next year for a Real Metal podcast.
Who knows? We could do that. Sometimes we need content. Well, this is our Christmas episode, so I guess from all of us to all of you, have yourself a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Cheers.
Cheers.